Okay, one problem that we've had this last year, and I think they probably had it before I came, was the routing being changed. Now, I think I might have fixed it, but in case I didn't, or you bump into it again, when you're, this is a problem. It can cause a lot of problems. For some reason, I would come in, and things weren't working right, and I didn't know what was going on, and the routing, and it's under home, and you can adjust back and forth. Ding, 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 ding. The home, these are off. And what that does is it causes problems down here. Now, if you remember, so instead of 20, now it's in channel 12, but it's not in channel 12. That's the problem. There's nothing plugged into 12. So that means now that's not working. That's not working because there's nothing plugged into those inputs. And the reason, same thing down here. Some of these are correct, but here's 16. And the reason why that's all messed up is because these are messed up. And I could never figure out why these would get switched. Because they should never be anything but this. It should never be anything. I mean, I still to this day don't understand. I talked to the sound tech, and he didn't have a good explanation for it. We did one thing that I'm not sure if it worked or not because it just wasn't consistent. But if you plug in your scene and you see that, oh, these inputs aren't working right, you know. Now see, it's back to, the bass is back to input 24. And guitars in there, and you know, so let's look over here. Okay, yeah, 7, and there's 1, there's 20, input 20. So it's back to normal. And the problem was this right here. So don't mess with this. It should always be inputs 1 through 8, local 1 through 8. Inputs 9 through 16, local 9 through 16. 17 to 24, 17. Should always be there. Don't change it. Don't touch it. And if it's messed up, you do just, for that channel, you just scroll to where you want it to be. Like if it was down here, you know, then I would go, okay, put up here at 916, connect, and I'm done. But this is very important that it's just like this. Okay? Very important. All right, let's see what else. These are bus. These are groups for the most part, or you can assign groups to these. Now they're already set up, but I never use them. To me, I have used them in the past, but at this school, I say don't touch them. Just leave it like where it is. Yes, you can. These are hooked up so that you can cut all of these guys out with one fader. All right, and you can cut all the instrumental guys out with one fader. All right, but I say leave them right where they are. Leave them even. I don't use reverb, and I had a guy here. He did like to use a reverb, but it's such a live room that adding reverb just makes it sound really muddy. I think you got a lot of echo in here, so you don't really need the reverb or delay. It's just he just like playing around with stuff. One other button that you need to know about is down here on this matrix 1 through 6. The only reason is because the lobby. Now I have it muted, and it should always be muted. If not, for the school, because not, then you're getting sound out into that lobby area, which they have a class upstairs. So that's really not a good thing for them. When you have this blasting in the, and this what controls the lobby's monitors. There's really nothing else you need to worry about with these. You know, don't even worry about the recording at this point. When you're going to record, these are your record volume faders. But the most important thing is keep the reverb and delay off. And I'm going to try to save this, but sometimes you save stuff, and I don't know why it doesn't save. But that should always be off, just in case something messes up. You want the lobby to be muted. And don't use reverb and delay. Keep those off. Keep these about level, so it doesn't. You'll have problems balancing things or not. Let's see. The main faders. I say don't touch these. These have to do with your assigning for different things, but mostly it has to do with effects like reverb and delay and different things like that. Just leave them alone. You don't need to do any of that kind of stuff. The only other thing sometimes we mess with, and I say don't, is the equalizer. And we've played around with different things, but just leave it alone. If anything, you can turn it off. I've noticed with the, now I'm all running here, actually, I'm running here, I was running off of 27, I was selecting. See, every button, notice every button changes the EQ. But I would say, unless somebody's professional come in and messing with it, don't mess with it. We tried messing with the belt pack. Let me see, I'll select it. To try to remove some problems with feedback, but I found out that I actually have it off. I have the belt pack off, the EQ. I found out that we had a guy here who kept trying to, play with it, and it just sounded horrible. And once I turned it off, it sounded great. The problem is, if you have to boost the volume up for the speaker, that once again you're going to have feedback problems. Whenever you when you have an open mic for like a vocalist or a speaker, and you have to boost the sound up, you're going to be sucking in sounds to those microphones, and it's going to cause feedback. So the very best thing for microphones, lavalier microphones, is to get them as close to the people's mouths as possible. And if they're talking quiet, unfortunately, you have to boost the signal, and you can only do so much before you get feedback. Because once again, when you are using open microphones, you are actually sucking in not just the person's voice, but all kinds of other sounds that are in the air. Some things we can't even hear, the frequencies. So the best way to not have feedback is to get people's voices as close to the microphone as possible, and it's okay, just right up on it. That way you can turn the volume down so you're not sucking in other sounds as well. All right, I think that's the basics for how to run a system. So when you're turning the system off, normally you would do it backwards, on how you turned it on. So you turn the amp off first, and then you turn everything else off. But with this system, which is really nice, they have a key, and you just turn it off. And it'll take a few minutes. See, the amp's going off. And well, it's not going off yet, but it'll go off, and then everything else will go off. And then you want to put the protective shield on there, and it'll turn off in a few seconds here.